So, displacement and the environment. What do these two seemingly unconnected issues have to do with each other? Well, I'm Karen, and today I want to talk about how political instability, displacement, and environmental exploitation intersect each other. So this is the main topic that I will tackle in today's presentation and that I researched in the research paper that I wrote with Polygence. So I was focusing on the displacement of Burmese refugees and the resulting environmental degradation. Some key terms I want to define. So, Burmese refers to those who are from Burma or Myanmar, which is the official country name. And displacement is the forced abandonment or migration of people from the place where they normally live. And a little bit about myself and why I'm interested in this topic. So I was under the guidance of John Paul Angulo for a few months last year, and to write this research paper with Polygence. And I'm from Chiang Mai in Thailand, which you can see here is in the north, and it's very close to Myanmar geographically, which means this topic is very close at home for me, and a lot of my friends and people that I interact with daily are actually Burmese refugees, so it makes it a very important and local issue to me. Myanmar is composed of many different ethnic groups. One of the main are, which is the Bamar, who accounts for 68% of the entire population, and they also control both political and military spheres. On the other hand, the most marginalized group is the Rohingya, who account for 4% of the population. And one of the main reasons they are discriminated against is because they were migrants who moved from Bangladesh to Myanmar. And the other reason being conflicting religious beliefs because the Bamars are mainly Buddhists, while the Rohingyas are a Sunni Muslim group. And on the right, we can see some statistics that just goes to show the unfortunate extent of the discrimination against the Rohingya. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to read that. And while the discrimination has been ever present, it really intensified in 2017 with the attack from the Iraqi Rohingya Salvation Army, where they attacked 24 governmental posts and killed 12 soldiers. This resulted in a counterattack by the Tatmadaw, which is the official military of Myanmar. And they are known for their ruthless disregard of human life. So this is oh, yeah, this is a quote from the 49th session of the UN Human Rights Council that shows the blatant disregard from the Tatmadaw. Yeah, so in regards to this specific case, they launched genocide, sexual assault of females, and demolished properties. So as a result, 382 villages were destroyed. There was a death toll of 10,000 people, and a total of 688,000 Rohingyas were forced to flee Myanmar. At this point, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with environmental science? Well, natural resource is one of the mainstay of Myanmar's economy and is critical to the to the natives' lives, with natives being the Rohingyas. So their livelihoods consist of taungya, which is a shifting agricultural method, agroforestry, and local timber usage. However, with the displacement of these people, the land has been vacated and left vulnerable to exploitation from different governmental industries, such as mining, deforestation, and petroleum extraction. So in the body of my research paper, I researched some main industries in Myanmar and identified a cause and effect relationship between these industries and their environmental impacts. However, for because of time constraints today, I'll be just focusing on one industry today, which is mining. So the stone that is most mined in Myanmar is jade, which is produced in Kachin State and sold to Chinese merchants. As of 2023, the total earnings has become 750 million US dollars. However, none of this benefits the locals, which can be seen by this quote here. So this is from a local resident where the jade is produced, and it leads to a myriad of environmental impacts. So firstly, mining can lead to ecosystem destruction because it disrupts many soil ecosystems and destroys countless tiny microbes and uh, creatures which are involved in the crucial process of decomposition. And it can also cause soil erosion, which negatively affects the soil fertility and minimizes the possibility of soil restoration in the future. Moreover, carbon dioxide is released into the environment as a result of mining. This is because 80% of the carbon stored in the soil is just in the top meter. So by destroying this top layer, carbon dioxide is released back into the environment, which increases the greenhouse effect and leads to global warming. And finally, there are many forms of pollution that results from mining. For example, first, there is water pollution as soil and silt is released into water streams and different waterways. And there is also air pollution as dust is freely released into the atmosphere. And finally, sound pollution from the heavy machinery used, which can really impact the wildlife. And then in the discussion part of my paper, I created some important diagrams to summarize my research. This is a quantitative display of each the environmental ramifications of each industry. So in this way, I was able to create a means for comparison between each industry rather than qualitative analysis, which would have been very difficult. And from this, I was able to pinpoint petroleum extraction as the industry that led to the most variety of environmental impacts. So you can see there were a total of 7 here. And it's also related to infrastructure expansion because of the technical demands of the industry. And then in this diagram, I illustrated the interconnection between each environmental ramification. For example, soil erosion and pollution can lead to water pollution and an increased risk of flooding because of sedimentation. And then this was an important point in my paper because I wanted to show that even though these ramifications were listed as separate entities in the diagram previously, they can actually all impact each other and exacerbate each other. And in conclusion, displacement doesn't just affect people, it reshapes entire ecosystems. So in the case of the Burmese refugees, because they were forced to migrate because of external factors like war, the land, which was originally natively farmed, which replenished it, became controlled and exposed to free reign from the governments. So as a concluding thought and one of the I guess like essence of my paper, basically, it's very important to address current environmental concerns and problems by encouraging cross-disciplinary collaboration between environmental scientists, politicians, social scientists, and other experts from other fields, so that we can really create solutions that are considering of all the different fields and which are feasible and long-lasting. And here are the references that I used in my research paper. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you for that great presentation. I learned a lot about a subject that I didn't know that much about, so I really appreciate that. We do have a couple questions. For attendees, if you have questions about any of the students' presentations, please put them in the Q&A and I'll be happy to ask them for you. So, what advice would you give to another student just starting research on Burmese refugees and how it affects the environment?
Oh, wow. Okay, that's very specific. That's interesting to hear that like you have the same research field as me, which is really great actually. So, I think firstly it's important to get a perspective for what the current situation is, which is kind of what I did with my paper. So I researched like the background in Myanmar, why the war was happening, stuff like that. And I got like a I guess like some understanding about why the land was so valuable, I guess, because of the climate and different like the yeah, I guess different biomes and stuff like that, which I also wrote about in the background part of my paper. And then after that, I think it becomes a lot easier to identify like uh environmental ramifications that are related to it, just so it's really specific to Burmese refugees because of the previous research that you had done. So yeah, I guess like getting a view of the background is very helpful first, and then kind of zooming in to really identify what you want to find with your research.
Mhm. Great. Okay. Did you find anything unexpected? Did you learn anything unexpected while you were working on this project?
Right, so there was a research paper that I read in which something really stood out to me and is still very clear in the back of my head to this day. So one of the authors had actually suggested using religion as a solution that combined, yeah, surprising. So, in this way, for example, like the Burmese, the Bamars, who are the main ethnic group, right? They're mainly Buddhists. And in Buddhism, there's this worldview that everything is interconnected. So the author suggested kind of utilizing this to create more environmental awareness for the Bamars who are in charge of the main political and social decisions in the country so that environmental advocacy could be prioritized in their political decisions.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Again, I'm very impressed with everything you learned and everything that you taught us.